Okay, and now I want to talk a little bit about how should we think about technology. How should we think about technology in our daily lives? How should we try and understand technology? I started to think about it, talk about it here, that we have to be aware that technologies have deliberate or unintended consequences. Some people argue that we cannot escape technology. Technology is overpowering us. We have the internet, we have electricity, we have computers, so I must stay awake, I must check the internet, I must check my email, I must be online all the time. I have no power. I am dictated. The technology is forcing me to behave this way. When we are thinking in such terms that the technology is forcing me to do something, that is a technologically deterministic idea. This is seems like a difficult concept, but it's not a difficult concept. It's basically the idea that technology shapes our lives. When we give too much emphasis, too much weight, too much importance to the technology, then we become technologically deterministic. So if I say, oh, I must make the presentation using PowerPoint and using slides and using a computer, I have no choice. Then I'm being technologically deterministic because I am assuming that I can't do anything. All of my behaviors are being shaped by the technology, but that is not true. That is not true. Which is why it's a critic's term. Some people in Hong Kong, sometimes I've heard this argument that in Hong Kong we have quite a lot of suicides, people committing suicide. And one argument is that because we have a lot of tall buildings, people commit suicide. Yes, tall buildings can contribute to the ease with which people can commit suicide. But to say that because we have tall buildings and people commit suicide, that is giving too much power to tall buildings. Is it just tall buildings? Of course not. It's so many things, right? It's our emotional health, our financial health, our family relationships, our relationship to our children. We can't just say that one technology of tall buildings makes people commit suicide. Whenever we give too much importance, too much weight to the technology, then we are being technologically deterministic, because this is not true. Even technologies themselves, another example is that because we have cars on the road, we have a lot of traffic accidents. Sure, cars contribute to traffic accidents, but there's more than just cars. Are the drivers trained adequately? Do they have a driver's license? Are the pedestrians trained? Do they know where to cross the road? Do we have good road markings? Are there good laws in place that limit how fast cars can go? All of these things contribute to traffic accidents. We can't just say the car leads to traffic accidents. There are many other things. So when we say the car leads to traffic accidents, we're giving too much weight to the technology. If you have been to Central, you might have noticed that in Central, Exchange Square, IFC, Landmark, Alexandra House, Central Building, you can actually walk to all these buildings without going down to the road level. There are walkways that are connecting these buildings. The point that I'm trying to make here is that it is possible to create a system where no matter how fast your car is, it won't kill anyone, because everyone is away from the road. It might be expensive to create those walkways, to join all the buildings, but it is possible to do if we want to do it. And this is the idea that we should not always give too much importance to technology. We have the power to design, we are the ones designing technology. Human beings are the ones designing technology and using technology. We should not forget that we have the ability to change the design and the use of technology. So technologies work and technological change occurs within society. Technology is not outside of society. There's no technological angels who just give you the technology and you must use them that way. It is human beings who are making the technology. Let's not forget that. This is a very nicely designed room, but it could have been designed differently. This room could have been smaller, it could have been bigger, the prayer room could have been smaller or bigger. We decide. We decide. It's not to say, oh, I'm constrained by this technology. Of course, there are some constraints because you have a 1,000 square foot place and the ceiling is this high. Okay, but within these constraints, you have a lot of power to manage how the layout, the look, the way this place is planned. So technology and science work within society. There's nothing outside of society that gives you the technology saying you must use it in this way. So we should not think that we are powerless. We are not powerless. We have the power to design, manufacture, and use technologies the way we wish those technologies are used. So we should not think of technology or science as being outside of society. Both are part of society, within society, and affected by society. So rather than saying, oh, I am forced to give my presentation using PowerPoint because they gave me a computer, they have a slide, they have this. We should try and think the context in which technologies function. Sure, in this context, technology might function in this way, but it's equally easy to have a whiteboard, and I can just draw on the blackboard or whiteboard. And when I went to school, my teachers used to write on the blackboard. Who had computers at that time? Nobody. So it's important to understand the context in which technologies function. Okay. Now finally, I have 4 slides where, like Albert said, I'm going to talk about how are some of the ways in which we can develop an understanding of technology. As I said earlier, no given technology has a single use. Any given technology may have a dominant use, so I can use this chair to sit on. That's what I mainly use this chair for. But if I turn the chair over and I put a chicken inside, it can be a nest for a chicken. So usually I use this chair for sitting. It's an expensive chair, nice chair. I usually use it for sitting. But it can have other uses as well, depending on the context, depending on where we are using this. So if you take this chair to a poor backward village, maybe they will use it for a nest. They'll put 2 chickens inside, turn it over, and it can cover the chicken. The example that I give to my students is that when I was younger, my teachers had blackboards and they used to write with chalk. You can use the chalk to write on, but anytime the students were talking, she would throw the chalk at the student. So it's become a projectile. I can use this to throw, and it can hurt you. So again, it's a funny example, but no given technology has one use. It depends on the context. You can use same technology differently. Steroids, for example. It can have a good medical use to cure people, but it can also have illicit use, illegal use in Olympic Games where runners use the steroids, or Lance Armstrong, the cyclist, used steroids to enhance his performance. So the point is that technologies do not have essential features. There's nothing about this technology that says we must use it this way. So this is the point that I want to make. We can't give so much importance to the technology because the technology was created by human beings. We have to understand that we created this technology. We thought of it, we designed it on paper, we made it, and now we are using it. There's nothing essential. There's nothing in this technology that says we must use it in this way. Of course, it is made for sitting. We will predominantly use it in this way. But it's not that the technology is telling us that we must use it in this way. So in our daily lives, when we encounter technologies, when we see things, we have to realize that these are decisions made by people. This morning on the radio, I was listening to a radio program in Hong Kong, on Hong Kong radio, where they were saying there are very few pavements in Hong Kong. Very few pavements. It's very difficult for mothers with children in their trolleys, or very difficult for old people to walk on the pavements because the pavements are so narrow in Hong Kong. Sometimes there are no pavements even on the road. No pavements, just road for cars. But these are all decisions that are made by Hong Kong government, Hong Kong people. In Hong Kong, they have a bias for vehicular traffic, for cars and buses, because they want to encourage people not to own cars, to use buses, so they make it the roads are quite good. But it's not good for pedestrians. If you want to walk from here to Central, it's not very far, but it's very difficult sometimes to walk on the roads because there's no pavement. But these are all examples of uses and manufacture of technologies made by people, by society, by individuals and by groups. Technologies do not have essential features that must lead to certain outcomes. Like I said, this chair can be used to sit on, but it can be used as an exercise tool for a pregnant woman. The outcomes of technology depend on the context in which they're deployed. So this chair can have certain outcomes for us, but it depends on which context they're deployed. In here, in this nice room, in this cultural center, I've been given this chair to sit on. But used differently in a different context, maybe in a war, I can use this chair to defend myself against bullets or something. So no technology has one single use that you must think that I must use this technology in this way. We can use technologies in different ways. And furthermore, if we take a step back, all of these technologies were created by human beings. Let's not forget that. So while we are always looking to technologies to save ourselves, we have to understand that technologies have different uses and we can create and use technologies differently depending on our purposes. That's all I have.